Hello, everybody. This is ALBER. Welcome back. All right. So I just wanted to play a little bit over here just to, make you feel comfortable and stuff like that. But what I wanted to talk about today is just how different setups change the way or can positively or negatively for that matter influence the way we play and perform. So I have right now a pretty comfortable live setup, which is not what you're looking at right now, which is basically something with which I can have a good variety of instruments, Digitakt always as my main brain, and I also can have something that can amplify my trumpet, and also an effect send and return chain, right? So I kind of need all of those things to go do my thing. But as far as writing music, as far as sparkling creativity, I like to sometimes when I have a few days away from the gigs and maybe, I can spend some time trying some different stuff, I like to reset, my setup or part of my setup and see what happens, with that structural change. So I feel like I stumbled into something pretty special over here. So about maybe 2 weeks ago, I got the Novation Base Station 2. I've kind of been eyeing it for some time and decided to pull the trigger on it, and I've been very happy with it. Now it sounds great. It doesn't really fit my gig case that I use, right? Logistically, it's kind of a big thing. Usually, I only use desktop synthesizer, which is why in my previous video, I even removed the keyboard away from the MicroFreak. So even though I love the way this sounds, I kind of don't have the space for the full bed keyboard. I don't really use keyboards at all when I'm playing live. So I've been trying, rather than just throwing the instrument aside, I've been trying to study a little bit more and see what it can do to see if there's like maybe a parallel way I can use this for writing. Now, it turns out that the Bass Station 2, besides being a great sounding synthesizer, is also a very cool MIDI controller. So now I've been using the key step for a lot of my studio work, just inputting just computing all the different notes. I'm not a keyboard player, so the mini keys have been fine for me. But recently, I happened to sit at the piano, or I happened to play some regular size key beds, and I did realize that I treat full size keys as more like as an instrument rather than a typewriter. So I was like, okay, maybe I can use this keyboard besides the usual was intended for, which is the operating the Bass Station 2. And I started looking into the MIDI capabilities of the Bass Station 2. Now it comes out it does not have MIDI through, which most of my other entry-level devices usually do have MIDI through together with MIDI out, and the Roland Boutique over here is an example of that. So I had to figure out a way I could first of all hook it into my chain as a slave, but also can I use this as a master? So the information on the manual and online in general are kind of vague about the MIDI stuff, and all the information I just found by asking on some groups online, and some kind strangers have come through with answers. So, one, if you tap over here and function a MIDI channel, you can see on the screen there is like a number. I don't know if you can see here, that's not super important, but anyways, the MIDI channel you select on the Bass Station 2 is the MIDI send, but also the MIDI out, but also the MIDI in, okay? So, all right, in order for it to be a slave, so to be controlled by the Digitakt, I had to put it at the end of the chain because, as I said a minute ago, it does not have MIDI through. So it can only receive, right? It will not pass further information down the chain. But the Juno can do that. So basically, my MIDI chain goes from the Digitakt into the Roland Boutique over here. And this goes into the MIDI in of the base station. Then what I did was I connected the base station MIDI out into the Digitakt MIDI in. This is where it gets complicated, right? So basically, this is like a MIDI loop. How does that work? There's this very important option over here on the base station, which is local, right? If you turn local off, basically, you will be sending MIDI messages, but you won't be playing the keyboard as is. The reason why it's playing right now, it's because I am on the Digitakt, on the MIDI channel that I have assigned to the base station. If I go into another MIDI channel, it will not make any sound. See, you can see this over here. It's taking the notes. And so I set over here base station 2. And over here I have set the Roland Boutique. So basically in this way, I'm taking care of the MIDI controls of everything through the base station. It's very important that you turn off the local command because otherwise you will be playing the base station, but also with every command, every knob over here is being previously mapped. It is connected to a specific control change number. Now, what I found out is that some other person, I'm going to try to put the picture of what I found over here for clarity. Somebody found out what each knob does in terms of MIDI, okay? And you can change it. I mean, if you know how to do it, let me know in the comments. That would be great. So it's kind of hit or miss what these knobs do. I found out that, for example, this will change the pitch of a sample on the Digitakt, and resonance will change the delay send. But yeah, it's kind of random on the Digitakt, and in general, they're just random CC values. So that's something that you have to be mindful about because sometimes you can really mess up your samples if let's say you're like okay, let's demonstrate this real quick. Local is on, and I had this sample over here, right? So I'm operating it with the cutoff knob of the base station that ends up being the tune over here. You can see some movement, right? Yeah. Anyway, so this can be cool if mapped, but for right now, it's kind of like hit or miss. So I'm just not messing with it, and I'm just using the keyboard mainly, and also the pitch wheels. So this is as far as MIDI. For the audio, since Digitakt's latest upgrade, we have a external mixer. And Octatrack users know this kind of stuff very well, probably. With the Digitakt, since we have this external mixer in, we can plug into the machine 2 separate external tracks, and we can pan them and set delay and reverb, and also have them go into the compressor, which is something that I really love. So basically, that's what I did. I have the base station going to the left channel, and the Roland Boutique here going into the right channel of the Digitakt. And I can absolutely control yeah, it's pretty cool. So basically, with just these 3 machines, I'm able to have MIDI controls over each one of them. through the bass station that doubles not only as my bass and lead, but also as the controller. Digitakt is the drums and the brain of everything. So that's where I cue things from. And when the Roland Boutique is just being its own awesome self, I guess. So yeah, it's been very, very stimulating to create in this smaller setup. It takes care of my effects, it takes care of my mixing, it takes care of my MIDI controlling, so you have hands-on control over everything. So yeah, if you know of any similar system that is possible with 2 or 3 instruments that end up really completing each other very well, please let me know in the comments. I'm super curious and interested about all these little quirks that can make our musical journey a little better. I hope you had fun. Please come back.